Yeah, we, and I feel it's right to make a video. I'm going to be making a second video. Spoiler alert, it's going to be just highlights and moments and funny stuff. I fortunately have, well, I don't have the space to save every video I've ever made and recorded. I do have some old TTT videos on file, some old VR chat videos on file, and the like. And the reason is because, for those of you who've been around for a while, some of you especially, because you would comment on videos about like, oh, this video doesn't feel correct because you weren't killed by Lucy and stuff like that. You might remember the TTT videos, which is what started it all. And the series was essentially called TTT with Digi and Friends. And unfortunately, we have learned the news that Digi passed away late this weekend. And I can't sleep, so I do what I always do, I work. So in this, though, it feels different because I don't know if it just really hasn't hit yet, if this is still a shock or whatever, but I'm not on the outside looking as devastated as you might think, but it's not because the news isn't any less devastating. The unfortunate part of it, if anything, is, and parish social, in my opinion, gets thrown around a bit too much. It's a bit too much thrown around, but I do think I have this habit of when I'm around people enough online and we have habits and routines and that gets broke and nothing was really said about it, paranoia creeps in like a little bit. So maybe this kind of classifies where what I'm basically saying is like, let's say you had a roommate. My analogy is going to be terrible. This is just off the cuff how I'm feeling in the moment right now. And it is what it is. There'll be, like I said, a proper like dedication video, but we'll get to all that later. Let's say you're roommates. Let's say we were roommates, all right? And we had our routines. We got up roughly around the same time because we had to go to work. Maybe we even carpooled, right? So there's definitely, we don't do necessarily everything from the moment we wake up to out the door together. But what I mean is like, you're going to cross paths. You kind of know when you're going to cross paths. You know when one person's going to be in the bathroom so you can get in the bathroom afterwards or beforehand, etc., right? And suddenly they're just not there. Now, your mind might not go to the worst thing possible, especially in this particular scenario, because maybe you can hear them still snoring in their room. Or you can hear them coughing and they're sick and like, yeah, I ain't going today. You're going to have to carpool by yourself. Whatever the case is, right? Like when a routine is broken in the physical, it's a very quick thing you can confirm, essentially, because you were roommates. Like in this analogy, we're roommates. You can see that I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to go to work. You're on your own, or vice versa. I can say you're sick. So there's maybe somewhere it's like, man, I hope you get better, dog. But we know rather immediately. And online, it's kind of that same analogy where it's like, around this time, because of these time zones, these people are online. That's when they get off of work and they usually jump on, especially because a lot of us play games together, right? We'd come together to play games and stuff, so we kind of know each other's schedules like loosely, if you will. And so unfortunately when someone say like gone and they just don't show up, in the back of my mind I start going, something's happened. It's unfortunately not death, but something. It's happened to me. Sometimes I've been off Discord for multiple days, and it's because something happened. It wasn't, unfortunately, or I should say, fortunately, something as unfortunate as death, but you know it happens. And so the problem here is maybe part of it is just that when he wasn't on all day, my mind was already in something's happened, and unfortunately, the paranoia always goes dead. So I hate it, to be honest, because I'm basically saying is I kind of already had the thought creep in that he had died, which is stupid. I think it's stupid of me to think that way anyways. The person could be gone for multiple days and they're not dead. Internet could literally just be out, lightning strikes and then boom. I just ran out of internet on Saturday night and a Sunday morning, which really sucks because a lot of them were actually in a call, him included, and I could have joined in that call. I didn't get the chance to. I wish this video had some structure, storytelling wise, but it's not going to. But unfortunately, that was the news that we got, and it's just been hours now of kind of letting people know, letting some people kind of just get some thoughts and some venting out, not negative about him, but just about the situation. Some people are just in kind of disbelief. Some people are grieving immediately, and it's never easier. That's the wild part about death. When you've lost multiple people, I don't know why this idea exists, and I'm not me saying this idea. I'm not saying this is an idea that should be the case. I'm just saying, like, there's this idea when you end up losing multiple people, it's like, well, it should get easier, right? And it's like, no, it really shouldn't. It should always be just as painful every time. Not that I wish pain on people, but like, it's a different person you're losing. As much as people like to call people, an average Joe or normal people or ordinary people, there's really not. Once you get to know somebody, you get to know their circumstances, or even how they present themselves is usually different from other people. Everybody has things going on, whether they talk about it or not. The severity of it can vary, of course, but that's my point. It's like, no, once someone is gone, that person's gone. The world will never have them again. So I don't really subscribe to that ideology. And so while this is not in this group, in past groups I've been in happened before, it doesn't feel any less easier at all. And it's crazy. So maybe it just hasn't hit me yet, and it will eventually, but for now it hasn't. So I'm just going to do my best to kind of support others and let them get their talking points and stuff out right now, because I'm not going to be able to sleep anyways. At the point of recording this, it's going on 3 a.m. So it's not happening tonight. I'm gonna be up. But I thought something nice to do would be to just kind of talk about some fun stuff, though, because there's certain memories because I'm not always recording. I try not to always record. Sometimes I kind of want moments to just get to be moments. But then I realize this is also why I do record so much, though, is because one of the videos I was editing, it's not really a spoiler. If you've seen the last VR chat video, Zervis, the 1v1 finally happens. It's a to be continued. Remember, it's a cliffhanger. And during that time, Digi shows up, and he's immediately just as cursed as he always is. And listening to his voice, I couldn't finish editing the video, admittedly. I was like, I can't. The decisions I make when I edit a video, I can't clearly make right now. So, because part of me wants to just kind of cut it out of this video and put it into like a massive Digi compilation video, which I might do. I'm probably going to do that, actually. Because I'm going to want to put every single second that he's in the video in. And I feel like I shouldn't, because it'd be nicer to do that in a more Digi-specific video, basically. He'll be in both videos, though, is what I'm saying, though. But one video might be a little bit more chopped down stuff, because the whole thing was already mostly chopped down anyways. And having to go back in to add stuff in, it might not corrupt the video. I might actually be able to pull it off. But I think at this point, since I'm going to do a Digi video anyways, what I'm saying is, so you'll see that. You'll see him in there. And if it seems like not a lot, it will be in its own Digi dedicated video. So I thought that would be a good idea to say ahead of time. That video might be out before this video, because I'm not planning on releasing this video immediately. If you, or I might, I don't know. It's, I don't really know, actually. I don't, yeah. But it's kind of a reminder of why I do record so much, actually. And because I have a whole playlist of 100 episodes, and Digi was in like every single one. And he's not just in TTT, right? He's in the VR chat videos. He was in a couple GTA videos even. Heck, he was almost in a Final Fantasy video. Me, him, and Zabel played Final Fantasy together. Final Fantasy 14, that is. It was a late night. So Zabel was awake because he's so far ahead time zone wise. He was getting up, and me and Digi hadn't gone to sleep yet. So, yeah. That video wasn't recorded, though, because I wasn't actually expecting to be on, nor was I expecting him to be on. But I'm going to remember that forever now. And, yeah, it's just, I can move this over here, I guess. Let's pretend I know how to make videos. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe something one day. I don't know. But it also reminds me of, one of the fun parts of doing this was he would actually praise me as a video maker. And I thought it was just kind of cool, because he wanted to get into editing one day. And so he would ask me and Mitchie questions, and he had plans. He was going to ask me and Mitchie more stuff. He was thinking about stuff that he was going to want to do. And yeah, now that I'm on a proper video maker, I actually have better answers, or I would have had better answers for him once that began, because Windows Movie Maker is very limited. It's a good starter movie. It's a good starter video making software. I don't know the word I'm looking for right now, but it's like a good starter application, because it's free. It's very limited though, but it is free. So budget wise, it fits in a lot of people's budgets pretty easily, at least just to get started. But now that I'm working on some other stuff and other software, it's cool because there's actually techniques and stuff he was telling me that I actually honestly didn't know. And I'm like, oh, I know that now. I can go back to him and we can have this conversation now. And now we never get to have that conversation. But I can guarantee you, if he would have gotten the chance, his videos would have been fantastic. Yeah, that was one of the conversations we had. Oh, my eyes look horrible. They look almost infected. So spoiler, I popped my contacts in. I wasn't gonna like pretty myself up for this because it was gonna just be raw talking points. But I tried that once on something that wasn't as severe as this, and I just was not ever looking at the camera ever. I was like looking over here. I'm very blind without my glasses or my contacts, and I just didn't like how my glasses looked at my face. So I did pop them in, so you can kind of see. They're not. My eyes aren't infected, I promise. But that's what that is. Yeah. Yikes. But anyways, there was a conversation, and this was a recent one like this year. He got into coding. He had plans. He had goals. He had dreams. He was an entire person with all of these things. And that's why, like I mentioned earlier, I can't subscribe to that average Joe or like just regular, ordinary. I can't. I really can't, because if you knew some of the conversations we'd had, and probably conversations he's had with y'all, he was talking about like hexadecimal, and he was teaching it, and then Tanks during the call, we were trying to figure this out because we couldn't, octodecimal and all this stuff, and then we finally figured it out, and it was great. And then we had a conversation about video editing that night, and again, where he was like praising me and Mitchie's ability to make videos and to do the stuff, and doing it for how long we've done it, and how like the growth that we've had, like me and Mitchie, just for doing it as long, and him thinking about how he would get into it and the things that he would do, and me being like, yeah, like one of the tips I'd give anybody is, if you're going to do things that are like entertainment, especially humor and comedy based, make things based off of your humor, because then when you start attracting an audience, it's an audience that also finds the same things that you find funny, and it's a lot easier to entertain them for longer periods of time. So there's that. He had plans. Oh, he had plans for this Minecraft series, and I'm only just remembering this, and this kind of sucks. He had a plan for a Minecraft series. It was going to be like a lightly RP. It was mainly improv. So that's why I say lightly RP, improv, whatever you want to call it. It was a Minecraft series, and it was going to involve a couple of us, and our characters essentially. And we were kind of going to make like a loose story. Like we're going to have a starting point each episode and an ending point, and then whatever kind of happens happened. And I remember one of the things he approached me about a long time ago was my character. I was still fleshing out my character at the time, which, spoiler alert, it's basically just me. It's basically just me with fire powers. And one of the things he was thinking of, because of like TTT and things like the deal with the devil and all that, was like, it's calm. Like you could accidentally like summon Lucy somehow, and that could be like one of the plot points. I'm like, I could. I like fire. Maybe my dude tried to mess around with like hellfire, accidentally summoned her, and then there we go. We went off of there. I never got back to him on that. And I'm just realizing that just now as I'm recording this, and it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks a lot. I don't think that's specifically what was holding up the series. There was other things we were still getting in place, but I'm just remembering that I meant to get back to him on that, and I didn't, and I would just forget. Okay, so that sucks. Yeah, but he had things that was really cool to cook up. One of my earliest memories of him was the pandemic, prime pandemic, that sounds diabolical to call the pandemic prime in any regards, but prime pandemic. I was world hopping with Kimple back when she did like the afternoon VR chat streams, ran to Lullathon and some people, and then ran into Digi, all in the same world. And I remember going up to his Mr. Freeze looking skeleton avatar at the time and saying he had a nice tie. It was a brief encounter, but that's what it was, because there was another skeleton in the world. I won't mention their name only because it wasn't to like really dunk on them, but I was like, man, now that's a stylish skeleton right there. And I remember when I was watching Kimple or Suki, I think it might have been Suki, for once, Twitch's recommended, it showed this avatar and it said, because its old name at the time was Daddy DiGiorno. It said Daddy DiGiorno, and it was the skeleton with the top hat. And I was like, I recognize that. I didn't know he streamed. I tuned into the streaming. Boom, there Mr. Freeze was, doing his thing back when he did like VR chat Monday through Friday streams. And first thing I said in this chat, because as a moderator, you can go back and you can click on somebody's name and look at message history. It'll take a while to scroll back that far, but I was determined. So the first message I messaged was along the lines of, "Yep, that tie is still looking clean, fam." And that kind of started off, visiting his streams every day because it's pandemic. What are we really doing in the pandemic, anyways? But pandemicking. Of course not, fam. There's still people messaging. But I remember that, and it was hilarious, and it kind of started off, and his energy was infectious. I know that sometimes it's thrown around with people when something like this happens, but it really was, because the internet can be a really hostile place, right? Right now, there's a lot of hype for me for Shadow Generations, but I stayed away from really engaging with Sonic fans in general, because even trying to find things you enjoy, it's usually just hostility, and here this guy was. And I've met a couple people online that are fortunately still alive, but also that's part of why we might banter and stuff, but you still see them still around in videos and whatnot because it's calm. And it started from there. I think one of the first things that started there too, I don't know why age came up, but at the time I was 26. I hadn't turned 27 yet, but I was going to turn 27, which means that he was 24, going to turn 25. That's how that works. Dang. Jesus. All right. Cool. And he was at, I think, 160 pounds, and I was at 180 plus, which the conversion is going to suck here. I'm sorry, like people in Europe and stuff. It's around 77 kilograms, I want to say. Between 74 and 77, somewhere around that vicinity, basically, that ballpark. No, he was under 160, my bad. I wanted to get down from 180 like to 160, and he wanted to get from where he was up to 160. He was in the middle of doing like the weight training arc stuff, so he wasn't there yet. And because we both had conversations about like health stuff and our weights and the whatnot, and we're like, cool, okay, we'll try and meet each other at 160 then. I'll try and get down to 160, and he'll try and get up to 160, and then we'll go from there. That's a story. I don't know if any people know that story. I feel like they would. I know Graphic and Lucine people were like around back then. Of course, they predate me, so I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I just don't know if they were there for that specific conversation that day. So if you're watching and you didn't know that, you know that now. Spoiler alert: I failed. I got down to about 167. I hard cut out like sugar. I actually purposely drank water, which was disgusting, and my body violently didn't like it. Actually, story for another time. But I got down to 167, so I lost about a good 13, 14. I could maintain it for about a week, and then my body was like, no, we're not built for this anymore. I'm sorry. You want to be healthier, we can be healthier, but we're underweight. And it's like, all right. But he succeeded. He started having those, like, the deep V pictures and the stuff like that, the progress, report pictures and the like, and he was getting his gains and stuff, and he was proud of himself. He was hitting the weights, and he was doing well. He was doing very, very well. And that was one of the earliest conversations I remember. That was a bit more on the serious side, I guess, because it was like health related and stuff. But spoiler alert, it was pandemic time, so one of the more silly, goofy conversations was we didn't have anything else to do, so we'd jump on VR chat, and he would just talk about conceptualizing his character. Frag is who eventually this character would become, but at the time, one of the stories back then is... I forget the specifics, but it was this idea, if the character, it was kind of like, think like Shigemaru, where like the character had to do with shadows, and like I think at the time it was like jumping from people's shadows to shadows, and maybe possessing them through their shadow. It was actually a cool concept. Maybe it would have been a secondary character down the road. Who knows at this point? But these conversations we'd have late at night in VR chat with the conceptions of the concepts would eventually become Frag, as we see him today, or saw him today. We'll see him you know, and our thoughts and stuff. That's the good part. But I'll never forget those either. Just late nights, just talking, and it's weird because I wouldn't. How do I convey this? I wouldn't call myself afraid to talk to people in one-on-ones, but if I don't know someone very well, one-on-ones can be difficult at the beginning because it's like we don't really have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to do the cliche. Oh, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite anime? Did you check your vitamins this morning? Like I've done in the past when I'm like, listen, we're just trying to break the ice. We can't get to all the fun inside jokes if we don't get past the beginning. We don't know each other segments. So there was that. But yeah, that's a lot of what that was. And then this part kind of came to me almost instantaneously. I was Monokuma in VR chat since early 2018. And I still am Monokuma on occasion, but in VR the perspective is like everyone's giants. Even if you're not giant, you're big because of the way VR works. So it's a bit difficult in that one to stay as Monokuma sometimes. So I usually use Kakashi nowadays, but he credited me for getting into Danganronpa and then playing the series because I was Monokuma, and he would ask about the character, and I'd talk about what Danganronpa was, and yeah, it was kind of cool because watching his playthrough, he would stream it, and it's cool when you know everything that's gonna happen, you don't spoil it, so you just see the decisions someone else makes, and you see them make some of the same decisions you make, you see them make different decisions you make, voices, he had aspirations to do voice work, and he had voices, he definitely had voices, and Gundam Tanaka, he attached to Gundam. I remember as well, and it was cool to see because Gundam is a cool character. If you've never played Danganronpa, get to the second game. Gundam Tanaka is one of the best characters in the entire series. Obviously, my favorite is Monokuma, but that's because I'm problematic. So there's that. But yeah, that was 2020 in the first couple months, just getting to know him, kind of a situation, the kind of person he was, and he was supportive, which gets us to November 2020. He makes this announcement. It goes up, bringing back a Trouble in Terrorist Town server. We're not going to be competitive. We're not going to do all this stuff. It's going to be for fun. It's going to be etc. And at the time, the only time I'd really been on a server with him and other people, kind of like in Seekers, the Oven at the time, was a Minecraft. There was a Minecraft server we briefly had. So it had, a couple of us, Suki, Crimson, myself, Digi, quite a bit of people on there. Someone was still in diamonds, and it wasn't me because I fell into a hole, got stuck, and that was kind of it for me on the server. It wasn't long, so this was the first time I decided to actually like join in on something and kind of stay in on something because again, it's peak pandemic, wild to say, nothing else to do anyways. And this was that year where we just lost like a whole month just playing TTT for like a good 8 to 10 hours a day. TTT could do no wrong. It was the honeymoon phase. We were experimenting with stuff. It was the wild, wild west. It was technically when Password first started. The video where it happens as a reenactment, like I call it like the origin of Password. It's a reenactment where we go there and we reenact it. But that's where it technically happened, was in that era. And it was the era of the Death Note, especially because Lucy just couldn't miss with the Death Note. Holy crap. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of first time on some of those maps, the Wild West map and all that. And it was Hogwarts. I'll never forget Hogwarts. Speaking of pings, I just got pinged because I was just talking to Crimson about the detective ball. Because she was just bringing up the whole when I tried to go up a ladder while Lucy was coming down the ladder as Chiaki. I'm not going to actually go into specifics, but if you know, you know. And I was like, dang, that was like 4 years ago. I'm catching strays for that still. We were just talking about TTT and it's crazy. But yeah, that's what started it, because there are people we would come. I wasn't there. I was in call for day 1, but I didn't join until day 2. And it was wild. And one of the first mistakes I ever made, I didn't quite understand the jester role. So when you're the jester, you know who the traitors are, but you're not supposed to call it out. So I'm just following around Digi because I'm like, the only way you win as a jester is if you get killed. If you can trick somebody into killing you. The traitors also know who the jester is, so that's not going to happen. But if I stay near him and I like jump in between bullets when he's maybe trying to kill somebody or someone's trying to kill him, maybe I can pull this off. But for some reason, in my lapse of judgment, he goes and kills somebody. I'm there and I call it out in the call, and I'm not supposed to. It's like, dang. Yeah, that happens. That was a thing. It was calm though. It wasn't there wasn't a lot of people left anyways, and even knowing who the traitor was because it was Digi, the FPS god, if you will. It didn't help anybody. Everyone still died, and yeah, he killed everybody successfully. That really didn't change up until episode 101 that just released. But I remember stuff like that. I remember stuff like ironing out the competitiveness. We wanted to really make sure things were competitive. So if anything ever felt competitive, we started implementing rules and stuff about how to curve back on that, and it succeeded. I don't know if you can really tell, but there's definitely a difference in episode 101 versus episode one even. Episode one still had funs and laughs, but we really kind of perfected the formula by the 101st episode. And the unfortunate news is that it will be the last episode he'll ever be in because he's gone. He's passed away unexpectedly, but hopefully peacefully. And yeah, doesn't doesn't make it any easier hoping that it was, why I'm not going to go into details. Just, I hope that the same way his status, as a matter of fact, on Discord was happier than happy because of basically the people around him. And hopefully he knew that was the case in reverse too. There's a lot of us that were happy because of what he did for us. And I don't even mean monetarily, but spoiler alert, sometimes it's monetarily. Spoiler alert, Fallout 76, which has become a great game actually with a lot of the updates they've done and stuff, especially with friends in a private server. The reason I was able to play that in like April 2022 when we were all first doing that was because he bought it for me. Really, before I had the chance to do anything, he knew money was tight for me at the time. It still is, spoiler alert, but it's getting better. So that's, some good news, I guess, in that regard. But he just PayPal'd me it. It was like, boom, you know what? Boom, here it is. I got you. Because he just wanted everybody to be able to play. So I was like, you know what? Cool. All right. That's great. It's why, for as long as I could, I stayed subscribed to him on Twitch when he would stream. Because I'm like, I'll find a way to pay you back, even though that's not what this is for. He never did that to be paid back. But I was like, no, I'll find a way because that's just who I am. I can't be gifted something and not do something back. So there was like one time we wanted to play TTT on his birthday, and I was like, cool, boom, here's my chance. I have the money for the server. Boom. Just cool stuff like that would happen. So that's why though when we got to play it, I have it. There's a couple games like that, as a matter of fact. Cookie Clicker, which has my most playtime on all of my Steam at nearly 5,000 hours, passively mostly, but still, there's a couple games I got. And it was just like, boom, just you just want to be able to play with friends. And that's what that was. But if we go by the timeline, this is going to be a long video. And for once, I'm not going to apologize. I don't care. This is for me as much as it's for anyone else that's watching this and feeling any sense of, peace, if you will. Like I said, I can't sleep anyways. What else am I going to do? I was going to be working on videos or working on assets or commission. I was going to be doing something anyways. So here we are. So that was 2020 kind of summarized. Not really day by day, I wish. I wasn't really recording back then either, so none of these stuff was recording. But what happened was I started recording, or not recording, I started streaming. So Digi was streaming, we have clips and stuff, and there was others of us that were kind of thinking about finally kicking the tires off of our streams and getting them going. So long story short, for me, I started streaming more consistently in 2018. It took me about 6 months straight of streaming nearly every day to get an affiliate, and it was pretty cool. But I kind of burnt out a little bit doing that, and then I was like, I can pick back up streaming. Like, if I'm going to be playing these games anyways with people, it'd be cool, like, perspective stuff. Here's his point of view, here's my point of view. Zabel was doing his point of view, so, like, on Minecraft, you'd have, like 3 different points of views, stuff like that. So what happened was I started streaming 2021, because here's what happened. We were a little bit burnt out on TTT. So the New Year's, basically going into 2021, VR chat was overloaded. It was unexpected that this many people would want to use VR chat to still be able to celebrate New Year's with people, cross planet, cross country. And so me, him, and Crimson were sitting in the call, and we just couldn't get into the VR chat. We were like, we ain't gonna be able to get in. So we're gonna start a Minecraft server. So we made a vanilla Minecraft server, the Spire, as some of you might remember. That's how that was born. It was born that night. And so we'd stream our perspectives, basically. I have a couple of the first Minecraft videos with friends is on the Spire server, as a matter of fact. That's why that even exists, and it's pretty nice. But later, when we unburnt out from TTT, beginning of February, I was going to stream, because I'd been in the habit of streaming instead of doing YouTube anyways. But I hit record instead of go live, and I didn't catch it because I don't have multiple monitors. So I just hit record, OBS is up, close it down, and then boom. And I was like, man, chat, because I had Restream.io, so my chat window was overlaid and nothing was ever happening. And I'm not like a massive streamer, don't get me wrong. It's not like when I stream, people show up and be like, let's go, it's time to turn up, chat message, chat message. Sure. It's not about me anyways, but my point is like to give you perspective, it's never like it's super crazy anyways, but it was dead. And I was like, is it because I'm doing TTT for the first time? Maybe the new game. I don't know what's going on, but I recorded. I hit record. I had VODs. So like the first 7 episodes of TTT with Digi and Friends is actually from a long recording that was supposed to be a VOD on Twitch, like a stream. It worked out because I did it, the first video, I put it out, I tagged Digi and some others in it because I'm like, listen, I meant to put this on Twitch, didn't, decide to make it a video, here we go. And people liked it. It was cool. I still have a screenshot where a couple of them are in this one house. I forget the name of the house. It's pretty well known. It's a common public world, and it's on the screen. They're watching like episode 6, I believe it was, and laughing and enjoying it. I was like, cool, that's cool. But from that point on, I was like, I could record, because originally I was going to record. That was going to be it, though. I was going to record again, but I was like, it's kind of fun to be able to look back and just have those memories, to be able to remember something and then be able to be like, I remember what video that was, and go look it up. And I'm very happy that I did that now, because like I said, I have some videos. It's just the one video left that hasn't come out yet that his voice is in it because he showed up. I have videos on file, like I said, that I'm going to be digging out and just maybe re-editing now that I have new software anyways. So expect that. And who knows, maybe the shock will wear off eventually, but at the time it still really hasn't. But I guess I do want to reiterate, it's not because it's like, oh, it sucks, but it is what it is, it's whatever. We called him the protagonist, in the squad for various reasons. Like, this is Justice League, but like Superman's gone. This is Avengers, but Captain America's gone. This is main character's he's gone situation. At the end of the Cell saga, when Goku's dead, yeah, they beat Cell, but it's bittersweet. This is bad. And maybe when I'm up for over 24 hours, because I'm just not going to be able to sleep, and I finally pass out and wake up, it'll finally hit. I don't know. So in the meantime, let's continue down a memory lane, because I just would rather think about that instead. So one of the funny things about 2021 was I started recording more often. VR chat videos. Now, VR chat was only supposed to be like 5 episodes. It was the first couple episodes, which was all from one night. And then a couple of people weren't in those episodes. So like Zabel, Lucy, and some others. And so I'm like, well, I kind of want to at least have them get to be in at least one video. So that's what episode like 4 or 5 it was at the time. And then it just kept going. We just jump into VR chat. Especially because back then I was on desktop. It's very easy to just pull up OBS and then just boom, have OBS going. And then because it's a video, if something really bad happens, I could always cut it out. So that was always my appeal of recording and doing YouTube over streaming, was if something, especially in a game like VR chat, if something bad happens, you're never going to see it. I'm just going to wipe it out. So there's that. But it was fun because at the time, that's when he was, he finished the Danganronpa games, but he had like the Gundam Tanaka avatar. And you would always know when he'd enter the world because you just hear, my name is Gundam Tanaka. I'm not going to yell. You really kind of need to project Gundam's voice, but it's like 3:30 in the morning, people are asleep. You would know. It was like an entrance, like a WWE and like songs started playing, and here he comes down the ramp, kind of a situation. It was fun. But the neat thing is, and one of my criticisms of the VR chat experience is some people find VR chat pretty boring, or they've burnt out on it. I'm not gonna call them out, but the issue becomes though, it's like let me do that real quick. The issue just kind of becomes, well, when all you do is get on a Friday and Saturday night, and you just get on just to drink in the same one club world every single weekend, yeah, it's going to be a little bit dread after a while. I'm just going to put that out there. Not to take shots at anybody, because I don't really just feel like taking shots at anybody right now. Heaven forbid they wake up and one of them could be gone. It's not really anybody that I know. I'm talking about the general experience, though, where it's just like, if that's really all you do, then yeah, that would get kind of boring after a while. Like, social drinking in itself is fine too, but that's, if that's, and it's the same one club world with the wheel, and you don't even play the other games. It's just the wheel and that's it. Yeah, that would be kind of dread. The thing about Digi is we'd world hop. We'd go on adventures. We'd find worlds to do stuff. You could drink while we do it too. That's fine. I did once. Y'all might not have even known, because I don't really drink to get drunk. So when I drink, it's not really, you're not gonna know, because I'm not gonna get tipsy. I don't see the appeal. But it's fine. It's fun. I get it, right? I'm not here to shame social drinking. I'm saying, like, but if you're gonna do it in VR chat, I feel like world hop. That's one of the joys, anything of, if you're gonna drink too, is like, you didn't drive somewhere, so you don't have to worry about being, a designated driver or a safe driver. You're already at home. So then go experience these worlds then, if you want to. Experience a driving world in VR chat, but don't drink and drive, for the love of God, in real life. But yeah, so it was always fun when you saw him get on, and he would ask if people wanted to get on. You knew it was going to be an adventure. You knew y'all were going to do stuff. Maybe sometimes it was game worlds. It was a fun time. And not that we didn't have our chill moments too. Like, sometimes we would get on, and we would watch like Nuke's Top 5 and scary ghost videos and stuff like that. And people are doing like RL ghost hunts and stuff, to the point me, Digi, and Graphic, we're going to do one in real life. The only thing mainly holding us up was finances, to be honest. I'm not going to get into people's monetary stuff, but I'm just going to say your boy is a bit too broke to fly to a place and justify it for that. And now it can't happen, because like the draw would have definitely been his reactions above anybody else's. Nothing against Graphic, and not to throw myself down at all, but like, he definitely was going to be like the major appeal out of it. And then we would have had, the spectrum would have been like his maybe most wild reactions, my melanin reactions, and then Graphics probably more anchored calmer reactions. Or it would have depended. Maybe Graphic, and he would have improved and kind of bounced off of Digi's reaction, and he would have been the more like, not scared, but I mean like hyped up one, and I would have been the more like, that's dread, no thanks, kind of. I don't know how we would have worked that dynamic out, but the crux of it would have definitely been Digi's reactions for sure, because that's just who he was. He was an entertainer, just by nature. That's not all he was, but he definitely could. There's a reason why. It was kind of dread, but there's a reason why when we would play games on the server, people would join, and sometimes we'd have to leave to go to work. Those people were like, "All right, Digi's gone by." And it's like, nice to meet you too, but also I kind of get it, because he definitely would. He would be able to carry something by himself if he had to. He could carry a conversation by himself if no one else was talking. That's just who. That's the kind of energy he brought, and it was very useful, because a lot of us are introverted. And that might be surprising to some people, because it's like, well, to do YouTube, don't you have to be extroverted with the skits and stuff? It's like, no, I'm literally recording in my room by myself. It's not that high energy, actually. I don't have the wild reactions to, like, when I play horror games and stuff, which might be a vice, actually, to be honest. Maybe I should not like fake my reactions, but like lean into my reactions, because I do get jumped, but I'll be like, and then that's kind of it. Maybe I should, like actually like freak out. Anyways, separate thing. He was the kind of guy though that that was him. He wasn't scared by things necessarily, but like his whole thing that he would get told too was like he didn't even need to drink because he didn't have that problem where he needed to like get rid of his, like the inhibitions that alcohol sometimes removes from you to be able to do stuff. He just would be able to do it, and it was an art how he did it. There's a reason he had like 7,000 friends on VR chat, and someone was like 7,000, buddy. What do you just like never say no when a friend request comes in? Granted, there's usually not a lot of times to say no if you kind of know the person. The last friend requests I accepted were from some of y'all actually, and then some of the people from the Battle Disc tournament and stuff was like, yeah, okay, yeah, we've been around enough, you know. So I get it, you know. He used to be around circles and groups of people and stuff, so it makes complete sense to me. But yeah, so that's what 2020 and 2021 was kind of like with him when it came to VR chat. We continue TTT, of course, ironing stuff out, making sure we can make it as, you know, fun for people as possible. And like I said, he was even in a couple GTA stuff because we got GTA going in 2021. The infamous tank battle, my flesh and bones body versus Lucy's entire advanced tank. Spoiler alert, she won. That's just how that works. You know, turns out a body can't really beat a tank. He was in there a couple times. There was one time he was even streaming it a little bit. I remember that because we all pulled up in different cars and everyone was like, why are you in a van? I'm like, I'm in the barrel. This is the barrel you've heard about. The barrel that's been destroyed many, many times. And so GTA has kind of fallen out the circle because, you know, it's kind of done its run. GTA 6 is coming, but spoiler alert, because I've not got to show this yet anyways, and he'll never get to see it ever. Out of boredom and out of an abundance of money, because I just was grinding the contract, because what else is there really to do? Kaio got nerfed, and sometimes I feel like getting on and doing some contract. I now have the 50 car garage that's on the Hollywood Lane, whatever it's called, and there's a whole garage that's just different colored barrels. And what was gonna happen, it was a bit, I had planned this, was if I was ever on with people again and the barrel kept getting destroyed. I don't know if you've ever seen Iron Man 3, but in the final fight, he summons all of his Iron Man suits and he's trying to get into different ones of them, and they keep getting knocked out, you know, or destroyed before he can get in them. That was gonna be me. The barrel was gonna get destroyed. I was gonna spawn a new one, and most likely it was gonna spawn in a stupid place where I'd have to run for it, and one of you would blow it up once you realize what was going on. It was gonna be just like that. That was gonna be the bit, in the back pocket. And even if he never was there to play, even if he wasn't playing that day, he would have seen it in a video, or it would have been mentioned. But he was there sometimes. There was one time he was there. And we're out in the desert. It was the one time he came back. It was the last GTA video he got to be in, where he came back, and we found out he got hacked for some reason. Someone hacked his account and changed his name to Big Bigger 69, BIGGERS 69, and they did nothing else. They didn't change his clothes. They didn't hack the game. They didn't hack in money. They didn't take away money. They didn't do anything. They just hacked in, changed his name, bounced. That was it. So Zabel puts a bounty on us because that's what he does now, and so we're up in the desert, and to deny everybody else the chance to get our bounties, we kill each other, or at least I kill him, because we pull over and he's like, hey, you want to shoot me in the face so that they can't get the bounty? I'm like, you sure? Because we don't. He wasn't really into PvP when we did the heist. Those videos exist. We did the prison heist. It was me, him, Tanks, and Lucy, and then the four of us ran back the Humane Labs, which was a nightmare. Listen. Let me just say, there's a reason. I can't speak words. Let's be real. I'm not all here, and I'm not gonna be probably ever again. There's always gonna be a piece that's gonna be missing now. That's just how this works. But let's just say there's a reason Lucy flew the plane. Because it's funny, because nowadays a lot of us are over like a level 100 and we have our flight max and stuff too. At the time we didn't. Flying the Velum is difficult. Flying planes, period, in that game is difficult when your stats are down. Even when your stats are up, turbulence can hit. And the controls are a bit more than just a regular style flight, where it's usually just you get in, you can just kind of, you know, use AWSD and that's kind of it. This you have to use like the numpad, or you have to use the flaps and stuff. It's a bit more. It's still, out of arcade and simulator, it's still definitely closer to arcade, don't get me wrong, but it's a step forward instead of like the traditional stuff. So kudos, you know. And Tanks, of course, flying the helicopter. which is also very difficult to fly. Helicopters might even be worse to fly than planes. And then there's me and Digi. So since it was Digi's heist, whenever you're the one hosting the heist, you're the prisoner, and then the other person on the ground is the prison guard. So we go in there and we think, okay, well maybe they have us as this so we can disguise ourselves for a bit. But for some reason, fighting just starts immediately. So what's the point of disguises anyway? So if we can do the front gate, which we probably could have just blown open with some sort of vehicle or RPG, anyways. But anyways, and so we're just fighting for our lives. And because he's a prisoner, he only gets a pistol. I get one assault rifle, and that's really kind of it. It's actually dread. It's actually dread. But yeah, we make it work eventually, and we get paid, and it's great. It's a fun time. Like I said, we run back to Humane Labs. There's a part of me I keep looking at Discord because there's some people that haven't woken up to know the news yet, and I gotta be ready for them because whatever state I'm in right now, I'm in a good state to just be able to let people talk about stuff and kind of just do that right now. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for them. But yeah, that's a lot of what 2021 was. The tail end of 2021. It's why I earned the name Trader. It's why I have not gotten rid of the name, and now I'll never get rid of the name. But because I'm recording, we are in VR chat. Now, to be fair, I had my old mouse still, so I was doing the double click thing, where I'd click and sometimes it would double click. So like when I go to click stop recording, it sometimes would keep recording, and so I would tab over sometimes, and oh, we're still going. Or I thought I hit record and a double tap record, stop recording, and I wasn't recording. Long story short, I really wasn't actually meaning to necessarily record what happened, but it was one of those. But since I did record it, I'm gonna make it a video, and it's the whole Kimple marriage thing, and that video is definitely staying up. For that reason. Yeah, there's a lot of moments where I'm glad I did record after all. And it's weird because I always knew this day would come eventually, right? Like we all knew eventually this day would come in terms of like we'd start going, whether it's one by one in groups or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, as bad as some of y'all have mentioned you've taken care of yourselves, you are actually, I'd say some of you are in a better shape than you think you are. So this still should have been years away. Especially with how much Digi takes care of himself with working out and stuff like that too. Some of us should have still, like at minimum, a decade. Gramps thinks he's in like his final stretch, to be fair. But yeah, this still should have been a ways. It wouldn't have been any easier in our 70s as it would be in our late 20s and early 30s. But or for some of us early 20s, but at least maybe it would have felt like, but that whole thing of, but at least we did live a life. But he didn't make it to 30. I mentioned this. So for Mitchie's birthday, when he hit 30 last year, because me, him, Gamma, and some others are all 93 kids, that's one of my bars in his rap is, I think it's in the refrain, the chorus, that everyone don't hit 30. I rhymed that with Mitchie D. And when I made that bar, it was a reference to people, like I've had friends that have died before 30. Mitchie's had homies that have died before 30. So the fact that both of us made it to 30, we're like, all right, we feel old, we make old jokes, but also at the same time, we made it when they didn't. And that, unfortunately, that bar came to me because I didn't think I'd be applying it to any of y'all. Some of y'all, of course, is because you're older, right? I'm not going to say names because some of you are young at heart. So, as far as I'm concerned, but I didn't think those of you who are only slightly younger than me at that, right? He's only 2 years younger than me. The 95 peeps, it's like my brother. Y'all turned 29, which 29 is fun. It can be fun. I'm a huge Kakashi fan. So for me, I was thinking about how like, initially, I thought Kakashi was 28 at the start of Shippendu, however you want to pronounce it. But in actuality, he was 26 going, and then he turned 27 in the first series. Then there was like the 2-year time skip from 27 and 28 to 29. So y'all that are about to hit, which was going to be him, I had a whole like, Mangekyo Sharingan joke ready for those of y'all that were turning 29. You'll never get to hear it. And it's one of those weird ones where it's like, I wish I would have did it sooner, but it's like it doesn't make sense unless I wait till you actually turn 29. So it wasn't his birthday yet, so but yeah. Um, Christ, I've gone off topic. There is no topic. There's just him. But yeah, I 2021. So 2021, that's where that was from. Going into 2022 was an interesting year. Um, because there was also talks about him trying to work in things. I think that was like the first time I ever heard him talking about video editing, as a matter of fact. And like the Minecraft video I mentioned earlier, it was going to involve like Chrono even. It was going to involve a couple of us. And then it was going to conclude when we jumped to a new map. So we're going to be like underground at one point and doing like Stonecraft, I think it's called. We had ideas, fam. Hyper edits was what he was going to do. So there's a couple hyper edits he would always show us, and music and stuff, he had some ideas that were actually pretty sick, and some other ideas that are just never going to see the light now. So maybe I'll mention some of those later on in this video. But one thing that I'll never forget, speaking of 2022, so like 2022 was a time where like he bought me Fallout 76. There's a couple of things, like I think that was also the time we got Cookie Clicker in September of that year. He was in the Phasmo stuff with like Graphic and Lucy, because he was doing Phasmo with Lan at some point, as well. We did Phasmo actually. So Thankmas, as we do every year, that year we streamed for about 10 hours. So we went from about 10 in the morning. My bad, it was 12 hours. We went from 10 in the morning to 10 at night. And then afterwards, I was exhausted. So like part of my complexion in videos, even though I describe myself as cherry chocolate, it's light. Well, I have this massive ring light right here. You can kind of see it in my eyes a little bit, like you can see the ring light. And spoiler alert, really after like the 4-hour mark, having this bright light on me because it's right here, and also looking at a screen, sometimes not being able to see the screen very well because of the light, contacts, it makes it kind of tiring. Some of y'all will blame water incorrectly, but sometimes some of my headaches is this for multiple hours at a time. But that was charity, so I pushed it, and I went, we went 12 hours. And afterwards, we were in a call with a couple of us as we started trickling out. And he was like, yo, you guys want to play Phasmo? Boom, here's Phasmo. I'm like, bet. And so that's where the video where me, him, and Capstan played, and me and Capstan have the ready up ritual, where we just like go up and down. And he just looked at us one point, it's like, what are you guys doing? That's that video. So there's a singular Phasmophobia video on the channel, and it's me, Capstan, and him. And that's why we did it that night. So instead of going to sleep after 12 hours of streaming, I'm like, bet, I've been up. It's calm. It's whatever. I'll record it too. And I'm so glad I did. Because Phasmophobia was something we were going to eventually come back to now that I have VR. It's going to be like in spooky times, probably. So probably like September at the earliest. But like, it was an idea that was floated around. I'm like, I'm down. Sure. That's never going to be a thing. Ever. It's not that I can't play the game ever again, but it's one of those things where there's ideas I've had that were going to come out. The way I describe it is I have ideas that are cooking, and they're raw right now. They're not ready yet. They're not cooked. But now, once I'm done chefing it up, the customer ain't going to be there. The restaurant's going to have to close on that idea. And that kind of sucks a lot right now. It sucks. And it's bitter, but it's kind of sweet, because we've been messaging people the news, and some people have just been messaging back some of the kindest things they can think of about them in terms of memories and stuff. And in a weird way, maybe that's also why I don't, at least outwardly, I'm not as devastated as some of my friends. And I don't say that word like it's, why are you devastated? That's weird, or anything like that, by the way. I'm just saying, like, the reason you don't see, like, bags under my eyes and tears and all that stuff, maybe I really am dead inside, first of all. But second of all, I think it's because in light of all this news, seeing all these statuses, and then seeing all of these messages about people being like, man, I met him and he did this stupid funny thing and it was silly and it was great. And just being like, I always have this, when people ask me what happens after you die, my default answer is usually that you are survived by the memories of those like you impacted. You continue living through the memories of those who remember you. It's a pretty middle of the road answer, pretty not really controversial too, to be honest. A nice PR answer, but also it's moments like this. He's gone, and whether you believe in a heaven or not, he's still kind of here in terms of how we are talking now about all this stuff, this video, and why I might post it ASAP. I might just drop the raw footage into like the video editor, cut down a few stuff, and then just throw the rest of it up and call it good. Because we need stuff like this. We need being a traitor because I recorded when he got married to Kimple by force a little bit, but having these to look back on in case anyone else is ever gone, in case I'm ever gone. Here's my stupid face, That's a horrible smile. I can't fake a smile right now. Next time I laugh, I'll try and hold it. Maybe that's what I'll do. Yeah. I look ghetto fabulous right now as well. So I'm not here for like a runway show, right? Like spoiler alert, I'm growing out my hair. So I guess you guys learned that because I haven't been on camera in a while. So no specific reason. No specific reason. Don't get me wrong. It's whatever. Definitely not for cosplay. No. Spoiler alert. Sorry. Listen, not going to go there too much, but not for that. It's dread. It's all dread, but it's not all dread because it's really cool to see. It's sad to see people being, going through the stages of grief, basically. The first for a lot of people was denial. And I think part of it too is I skipped that. I mentioned earlier the whole parasocial thing, and I think the problem for me is just there's a part of me that was like, I think he's dead. I don't know why. I want to call it a gut feeling because I would hate to think my gut was telling me that a friend of mine was dead and confirming it for me when I didn't have any hard evidence at the time. But for some reason, him being gone, and then I'll just not say the name. I don't think they would mind, but I don't want to really name too many names if it's not reminiscing about a positive video. But someone then hit us up with a at everyone ping. And that doesn't usually happen, first of all. And then second of all, from this specific person, it was kind of like okay, we already had a red flag because he wasn't around. It's off, but it could be whatever. Power could just be out. It happens. But then this one was on top of that. I was like, okay, that gut feeling is starting to become a pit a little bit because they're also asking about said individual. That's not, at minimum, it's not good anymore. At minimum, it's not paranoia purely, internet's out, maybe service is just down, whatever. It's something is wrong. We just don't know what yet. And then at that point, it's like, okay, well then it's death. So I think maybe that's just it too at this point. So make no mistake, he was as good as a friend to me as everyone else is out here saying at the moment. And I think for me, it was more like I've been digesting that for several hours before it was confirmed. So then when it was finally confirmed, because we got a ping later on, a moderator one, while I was trying to work on stuff. And I was like, first of all, the fact that you're still awake is concerning. Second of all, the fact that you're using a moderator ping is concerning. Third of all, you're mentioning the person that was already like my second red flag. Like three strikes you're out. This was the third strike. I'm like, okay, prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So I think I was just prepared, unfortunately. I hate saying that because I don't want to make it seem like you guys are just something I can just prepare to be gone. But I think the clues were starting to add up, I guess, that something really bad had happened at least. So I think that's the only reason my face is dry. Make no mistake, it could just be shock as well, and eventually it'll wear off. And because unfortunately this isn't my first rodeo with this, but it doesn't make it any less easy. It doesn't make it any less important because it was a different person, But I guess I interject and just say, make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is I'm not making a video for views. This is not supposed to be a viral video. Just to confirm it, my average watch time is 44 seconds. This video is going to be over an hour. The algorithm will kill the video for me. I've designed this video that way. Poor choice of words on my part. I apologize. But this is, a third of my channel is a time capsule. It's unfortunate, but this is what I designed those videos for. On the bad side of the coin, it's a two-sided coin. On the good side of the coin is just like, let's, it was like 20 years from now, we just look back, the YouTube servers are still up, and we can just look back at these videos in the playlist and be like, that's funny. Remember that? Remember when we were younger and all that happened? That's the positive side of the coin. The negative side, though, was this. This is what I designed this for. This is what I planned. My plans have plans. That's what I do, is I plan. And unfortunately, while this is a worst case scenario plan, this is what it's here for. We will be able to look back on videos with him in it. His Twitch stream ain't going anywhere. That's not how Twitch operates. So his clips are still up there too. If you want to go to his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/digitalboyo, and just sort by all and just binge all the clips. Yeah. And that's what I'm probably going to do. I might make like a Digi playlist, and when I bring back the old videos, I'm going to make a compilation video of just Digi stuff, and then I might just upload individual clips as well. We'll see. I don't know. It hit different trying to edit the one video once I got the news, because that's what I was working on, and hearing him in the video. First time in a while, I just had to be like, I can't edit this right now. So we'll see. That might take a while. Positive stuff. So, funny thing, in his different spurts of being really focused on things, right? One of the things he was focused on was voice acting at the time. He had aspirations for that. I don't know. I'm going to talk about it. If it's a problem, feel free to hit me up. But he had aspirations to then turn Frag into like a 2D5 model, I think. Or maybe he would have just used his VR chat model. But essentially like a VTuber situation. He thought about it, right? Combined with the voice acting that he was planning on doing. He had a voice he was thinking about doing. And maybe breaking into that, getting that rigged up and stuff. And I think he would have been phenomenal at that. It would have been its own individual thing away from his actual main channel too. So, which is what you do on YouTube as well. When like you have a YouTube channel, then you like specialize in something. You make a new channel so that everybody that goes to that channel knows that's what that channel is for. So it was smart on his part, but it would have been hilarious because the ideas he had, the things we would talk about in a different project. I think it's something he would have pulled off pretty fine because he, like I said, he can talk to nobody. So whether he grew instantaneously or it was a slow growth, he would have been able to just conversate with people. He could have been a character because he was a character, a good one, as it was. And that's an idea that will never be seen, but it was an idea that did exist at a time, and it was a cool work in progress to be like on the inside of that and hearing some of the ideas he had for brainstorming and whatnot. It would have been cool. Jesus. But that was something that popped up. The video editing again, he was going to do hyper edits, and it was going to be sick because of the ideas he would talk about wanting to do. He wanted to learn masking. He wanted to learn green screen stuff. He was eventually going to bring back his webcam. He used to stream with webcam, and that was another thing. He was thinking about bringing back webcam for stuff as well. Never got the chance to. But there was a call. I posted it in the Discord where we were all in a call. Me, Graphic, Mitchie, Digi, Lote, Lucy, Capstan. There's a good chunk of us, and some of us rotated in and out as well. Gramps, and he was at work at the time, but me, Mitchie, and Graphic all used our face cams, and he did too while he was at work. And then he got home eventually too, and then swapped it on over there too. And we just it was kind of fun to do something a little different in a call. I don't always feel like being on camera. Spoiler alert. Sometimes I feel like even now, like this doesn't look great. Some of you are like, it's not that bad, and you know what? I love your face. You're amazing, but As someone who looks at this 24/7 versus just in a video, it's getting a little Father Christmassy. It's getting a little. I'm at least have to trim it something. But in that moment, it didn't matter. Like, part of the reason we did it is because Mitchie being self-conscious about his hairline, and so we would all get on and be like, "Yeah, it's calm. It's fine. Like, it's all good, buddy. You're fine. It's all good. It's the same way some people. Some of the reason why some people are mute isn't because they hate their voice in their like native language. It's because they hate how they sound with their like English accent. And it's totally fine. I'm never going to force somebody to talk after all, but it's crazy because there's other people that I've known that they finally started talking, even if it was in closed instances, and like, your voice is great. Your voice is just fine. So I would encourage some of y'all not to necessarily, do face reveals and speak publicly just out of nowhere, but to remember that a lot of us, A, hear you different than you hear yourself, and B, probably think your voice is just fine. Now, again, if you want to stay mute, that's also fine. That's not what I'm here to do, is convince people to not. But by all means, I guarantee you do sound better than you think you do. Even if you don't sound as good as you hope you do, I guarantee you sound better than you think you do. Take it from somebody that still kind of is on his own voice, even though this is part of what I do for a living at this point, between this and commission work and stuff. So, yeah. Sometimes you never quite get used to your voice, but it's fine. But he could do voices, and he had stuff he had planned, and it was great. 2023 was interesting too, because it kind of continued some of those themes where he was looking into doing like things like coding and stuff, and working on building like a map in a game even at one point, and learning Blender, learning model stuff, learning coding. Hexadecimal was wild to us. It was one night we were just in Zabel server, and he was just explaining this from this book he was reading of like 300 pages, and he was explaining it in a way where it actually made sense, even though that's not really my field. And then Tanks came in at one point because we were struggling like oxa hexadecimal or something like that. And once Tanks came in and we were able to bounce off of Tanks with some ideas too, we got it. And it was cool seeing how passionate he was about that. Just how passionate he gets about these things, when the concepts were what would eventually become Frag, and the goals that he had. He was a man with dreams. He was a man that had a path in front of him still. He was a man that, while he had his struggles, he also had his solutions. He also had his ideas. He also had his desires, and they're all gone. But he's not. He will forever continue to live as long as we remember him. And that's why I make this video, because some of you that are subscribed and have been subscribed only know of him through those videos. And so I, with a heavy heart, pass on the unfortunate news that he has in fact passed away. Episode 101 of TTT was one of the last TTT videos with Digi and friends. But he will technically be in a few more future videos, because there's still a few more backlogged videos. Or maybe it's just the one. There's at least one more new video left that he will still be in. But I'm going to pull from some past videos and just kind of do like a nice Digi highlight compilation situation. And to those who also knew him and also watch my videos, and that's maybe why you're here listening to this, maybe in the background, because you could basically watch this as a podcast. You don't actually have to look at my face after all. There's not much to look at in this one. I'm going to just let y'all know. But yeah, we won't let him die. And now to be kind of silly. I'm going to be silly, a little selfish here, a little stupid. So I'm going to spoil something. YouTube is something I do as a hobby. I just really like making videos. I like editing videos. I like entertaining people to a certain degree. I'm not going to do, Spike Lee's Bamboozled. We ain't there. We ain't doing any of that foolishness. I'm not like, you say jump, I want to know how high. When I say entertaining, I like trying to be entertaining and then successfully entertaining people. And my avenue for doing that is videos, more so than anything else. Some people it's streaming, some people it's art, it's the whatnots. But But this is not the career. I do make money off of this, but it's not nearly as much as people think I make. So the goal, obviously, in a post college world now, is to job hunt. That's the goal. I was gonna pick it up more in 2025 because I do have some joint projects with people that they deserve my undivided attention since college is not an issue anymore at the moment. So, but afterwards, it was gonna be a more serious job hunting situation. I bring that up to say, to put you in a perspective of where YouTube is. It's a hobby. I would have loved a world, to be honest, where it could have been more. I think it would be really cool to be able to wake up and be able to focus on this full time, knowing that, finances are covered and stuff. Some of the ideas I'd really dive into and do. But one of the ideas, my plans having plans, was actually just to be able to be a springboard. There was a part of me that, admittedly, as much as I call this a hobby and stuff, there was a part of me that wanted badly for this to be able to take off. And specifically so that others could take off through me as well. I wanted it to take off because then I could patent it. I could be like, cool, this is a very easy thing for me to do for the rest of my life if I want to. But then also others of y'all, if y'all had even kind of aspirations, but also like me, have reserved them for, it's a hobby though. You could have maybe legitimately looked and been like, oh, maybe it's a hobby that's also profitable. Kimple comes to mind. Kimple has a job. Even when she was streaming twice a day, she's had a job for years. She just also streams because she enjoys it. It brings her joy. And also, especially in the beginning days when, VR chat was super popular, brought in a nice side check, have side revenues. I would encourage people anyways to have multiple revenues just in case your job ever just decides to be stupid and decides to just, be really dumb and unfair, let's say. Having extra revenue streams makes it so that when some certain things happen, it's a lot less troubling financial wise. Anyways, I got a little sidetracked because some people are starting to wake up and they're starting to get the news, and yeah, it's gonna be a rough forever. It's dread. It's just dread. But yeah, so that's just a side note. But there's a part of me that kind of badly wanted this to take off one day just so that I could promote the rest of y'all. And with Digi and some of the goals he had, I would have loved to be able to pop off and be in a position that when he starts his pop off, whether it was hyper edits or maybe the VTuber project, maybe it's both, maybe the hyper edits are YouTube and the VTuber thing is Twitch, the voice acting stuff, I would have loved to have been in a position where more people could have got to know him. And this is where I mean by selfish, because there's a part of me that's like, I want that still, but now for I want to be able to tell people who he was on a brighter spectrum. More people should know who he was. And respect to his family and stuff and the grieving process. That's part of why I'm not using like his real name. I'm using Digi and stuff too. But like, more people deserve to have gotten to know who he was and what he brought to the table. And so now I'm in this weird crossroads where low key I'm like, the reasonable adult in me is like, okay, we still need a job hunt. I've been job hunting as it is. I just admittedly have not taken it as seriously as I could because there's collaborations that I'm doing with people where they deserve my full time and attention, basically. And those don't really run out till through the end of the year. So I'll just patent on whatever I got. But now I kind of want that more. Like I thought I was kind of hungry for it. And then I kind of was like, no, let's be a mature adult and be like, listen, it's the window's closed. Now I want to break the window with a rock. And I want to still go for it. And I'll still go get a job too. I'll just do both. I'm a workaholic anyways. That's what I do. But I want that now. I want that now for him. I want to be able to tell more people about him. And I want to be in a position to tell more people about the rest of y'all too. Unfortunately, in case this happens with any of y'all in the not so distant future, hopefully it's the very distant future, but I want that ability. And I want that ability while y'all are still alive. I want that ability that even if you don't want that route, it's an option on the table and you have then the ability to say, I don't want that instead of I can't have that. I want that to be an open door that if you don't want to walk through, it's fine, but you just don't want to. Not it's a closed door and I can't find the doorknob. which is how I'm feeling right now with him gone. Is it was never there. I was never able to give that option, considering this is really all I do in terms of my like speciality in the groups that I'm in. I couldn't do that even. It you know, so it's I don't know what it is, but it's a thought that came across my mind. I'm thinking about it more and more, and I'm just like I should have worked harder. I should have used more clickbait. I should have I don't know. um I don't know. Maybe it's just poppycock really, but it's funny. So Capstan said their condolences, and they mentioned Torch Buddies. I'll mention that because that was fun. So the way the story goes is we're on the first modded Minecraft server. It's me, it's Digi, it's Capstan, and we're underground for like 5 hours. It's like 5 a.m. by the time we're done, and we start at like 10 p.m. So it's really more than 5 hours. And the whole story, the way it goes is he finds diamonds he's the guy that digs down on Minecraft and doesn't fall in the lava. He falls into a vein of diamonds and finds diamonds in the first 10 minutes of being on a server. This was no exception. This is, if anything, this is what started the legend, where he would find diamonds. We'd be down there, and so me and Capstan, we just find coal and we just be making torches because we gotta light stuff up. Because it's, we're deep underground, monsters everywhere. We're fighting monsters, and if he saw monsters, we're getting attacked. But he saw diamonds, he just jump across to the diamonds. He just hyper focus in. Oh, diamonds! Boom, boom, boom. Which was fine because he's also an admin. So if we were fighting those monsters and a creeper like drops down, blows one of us up, he would just use his admin powers to spawn us back so we could get our stuff. To be fair. So it kind of was like, that's all we were good for really was torches. Our lives weren't even really that, important. But at the same time, he would revive us and bring us right back. And so it was all good. But that's basically the story of Torch Buddies is we just spent hours down there just mining stuff to make diamonds so he could, or mine to make torches so he could make diamonds. And then part of the story that's not as often told, we resurface at the end. So it's like 5:10 in the morning my time. I'm like, dang, the sun's gonna be up in a bit. No, it's actually March, so it's still like just after winter, spring. So the sun's gonna take its time. Anyways, that part's not important. Point is, in the distance we see this massive figure, and we're like, that's bad. Oh no, we're in trouble still. It's a battle tower. We're like, don't like that. Battle towers, not gonna be our cup of tea. And we don't mess with it. We decide, you know what? This is a good place to call it. We're gonna go a different direction, and eventually we're gonna set up a base, which is the first. So the server that had like Lucy's windmill, graphic made a chair. I think he's the one that made the bridge eventually too, kind of a thing. Digi was doing, I call it this Harry Potter hocus pocus stuff, while I was doing the technical engineering stuff. It was that server. The first, Battle was making something where he needed like 3,000 things of redstone. It was that server. And what's less told is at the end of that adventure, before we sign off, because he's collected stacks of diamond, and because we were the torchbearers that helped him do it, he actually divvies it up amongst the three of us. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, y'all found these diamonds just as much as I did. So here's, the whole thing for you. Here's the whole thing for Capstan. And then he kept his own. And so, yeah, it's actually a really great story. It's dread. I keep saying that. I've been watching too much SNG. I blame Steam for that. But I meant to draw that one day. I had an idea. I was going to commission Steam to do it. And then I realized I can't pay Steam the amount of... Steam does such good work. He deserves more than some of the prices he posts even. So I was going to just do it myself then. And now I'm definitely going to probably do it myself just in honor. I imagine artists... I don't want to assume, but I imagine if you're an artist, you might be drawing Digi this week or Frag or something. Yeah. That was an idea. I wanted to get that done for a while, and I didn't, because I'm still learning how to draw. I can't draw anatomy very well. I'm gonna work on that though, sooner than later. But that's the story of that. That's a fun story. So we know the trader story. So the trader story, of course, is because I filmed it, and it's because I said I wasn't filming it, and then I posted the video. It was like, you traitor. So then he sells me to Bebotics for $2.1 million. So I'm like, oh, oh, we went back 400 years in time, I guess. All we need is the Dutch ships at this point, I guess. But that patents out a bit. All B wanted to equate to the $2.1 million is a B's trigger, which I still have yet to draw that, actually. So, there's that. But there's some fun stories around there. Terrors of Nowhere is one I have to mention because I only know about the game because of how much he was playing it, which is ironic because the maker of it is Beyond, who's a part of Mechanics, so I'm a part of as well. Yeah, I tried it in desktop first. I got to try it in VR finally in one of the latest Mechanics videos. It's way different in VR, that's for sure. I understand why Capstan would just dance the music in a corner because sometimes it hit when you're in VR versus when you're in desktop. But yeah, sometimes that's how it just would work. But that's where a lot of that comes from. But there would be banter, but there was never anything hostile. I can't think of a single time I've ever had like a legitimate problem with him. It comes with my whole. If I actually have a problem with you, I'm going to tell you first of all. So maybe that's part of it too. But I cannot think of a single. The only thing I can think of, and it wasn't a problem. It was TTT. It was just kind of like, at the beginning, it was like we wanted to make sure things were competitive. And it was like, okay, how do we talk to him about a couple things that have been happening? I remember reaching out to Graphic because I'm like, okay, you've known him longer and better. How would I word this? Or maybe I should let one of you word this. Because there were some things we were ironing out, to be fair, about the server in terms of competitiveness, in terms of not just him either. It was just general stuff. They were like, okay, we want to iron this out. But I feel like, okay, so my problem was, I feel like if I bring it up to him, it's going to seem like I'm talking about him specifically. And I wasn't, but I know how I can word stuff wrong sometimes. So that's why I tagged in Graphic. I remember that. And really, if that's the closest thing I can think of, then you gotta understand there just was not a lot. There was just not a lot. That was a problem. That's miserable. Okay, so it's raining. We've been in a heat wave. It's been hot, it's been muggy, it's been terrible, and it's raining. I have my window open and it's raining. I don't want to quote the meme for meme's sake, but what a terrible day for rain. Of all the days we've had weeks without. All right. So, yeah, I'm probably going to end this video because there's so much more I want to talk about. And what I think I'll do is I'll just have a talking segment in the compilation, like I'll maybe put like a clip up of something, and then I'll come in afterwards with my commentary about it. Because right now I just don't know. I can't describe what I'm feeling because I'm not really feeling. Outside of I know that I miss my friend. That's definitely what I'm feeling. So I think I'm going to take time off. I know I like this. This is my processing though, because this is what I do. I work, I make videos. And I build. So, in games, that latter one is usually in a 3D environment. Even if it's Blender or something, I should clarify, I'm not about to go out and like build, a bedroom set or something, some furnishings. Or I might if I just need to keep my mind busy. Because I still need to, I'm going to keep talking a little bit though. I think I'll just commentate too, but I'll keep talking. There's some more fun stuff to talk about. Like the fact of when we would do TTT, this man, for Thankmas, as I mentioned, was just always so positive about it too. Like whenever I was signing off, he would always make sure to kind of go in and make sure to talk about the campaign real quick himself, and talk about the efforts being put forth, compliment me on, wanting to do it even. And it's funny, we're a little bit cursed in our Discord calls. The whole meme, if the group chat was ever leaked, I'm not going to sit here and act like we're complete saints. If the group chat was leaked, you would see a lot of us are pretty cursed. Not necessarily, God, Mitchie. Uh, a lot of us are cursed. I'm not gonna say like that we get canceled off the internet. Um, yeah, there's the stages. I might need to stop recording just so I can make sure I can consult. Because now we have some of the early birds across the coast and cross country and across planet waking up to the news, and I need to kind of be there for them. Um, that's also my, that used to be my, like in every friend group I've been on, I might not have been the most richest um, in the group, but that's my like I support creators when they act like, we're not your therapist, but it's ironic because I usually, that's what I've kind of been, is the person people can go to just get stuff off their chest. I'm not going to probably have the right answers of how to handle something, don't get me wrong, but I'm usually that guy that, no, I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually fine with that. I'm usually not gonna be able to, cover food. We went out eating. I can't cover food. I don't got it like that. But you can vent to me and tell me whatever you want. I take there's people's secrets I'm taking to my grave. There's things some people have told me no one's knowing. When I die, they go with me. I think that's one of the nice things too, is when I think about stuff like that, sometimes it's people talking behind others' back. And I say temporarily because they're like processing how they want to go forwards and repair like a friendship, for example. With him, there wasn't really ever any of that. Any of the secrets and stuff that I was ever told, like there's one that I'm not telling in this video even. It dies with me. And any other people that also happen to know. But anytime with conversations and getting to talk to him in one-on-ones and stuff even too, it's just it was so positive. It was such a nice bright outlook, such a nice such a nice time. I can proudly say I've never regretted ever having a conversation with this man. Even if he ever felt like he took something out on people, like in a brief moment, he was that guy that would reach out and apologize. He was never above apologizing, especially if he recognized it. And I think that's worth noting too, like just talking about him as a character. There was a situation, I won't get into it too much. There was a streamer that exists, all right? Me and another friend, I'm going to leave names anonymous, basically, for this one, because it's, first of all, it has a happy ending anyways, but, or at least a peaceful resolution. But long story short, me and said friend bantered on someone else in the chat. And the streamer used that as an excuse because they knew me and said friend were friends with Digi, to punish Digi. In like a kind of like, in their kind of banter, the way that these two people would kind of banter, I guess, to be fair. And it was kind of dread because he thought initially we purposely were in there trying to get him in trouble. And he was already having a bad day that day, specifically, of course, at work and stuff. So that didn't help. But afterwards, when it kind of was like, oh no, this is actually what was actually happening, etc., etc., I was like, you know what, my bad, peace. And I was like, you know what, yeah, clarity thing, I could have, even me, I was like, maybe I could have made that clear from the beginning, my bad. That's just the kind of person he was. So on one hand, you have the curseness and all that stuff too, but on the other hand, you had a guy that was genuine, in your corner. When he was your friend, he was your friend. He was in your corner. He wanted to see you succeed just as much as he wanted to succeed in the things he was doing. He was like, I want to come up, and I want to see you come up on the thing you're working on. Your videos are getting better. I've been watching your videos. I've been seeing that cool editing stuff you've been doing. Adding the extra effects and all that stuff too. And I think I know what that effect is because I've been trying to learn stuff too. And then we could talk about, oh yeah, if you want to add, chroma, you want to ultra key stuff, so you can have the cool like anime dash lines, for example, on top of something, or like rain when something's miserable. You want to black and white ultra key like a rain thing, and then size the window correctly, and then use keyframes, which sounds pretty complicated, but a lot of softwares actually make it pretty simplistic once you maybe see like one or two tutorials on YouTube. So that he and I think that's why I'm gonna miss the most is you can look up his profiles on stuff and you can maybe see surface level. You can maybe see tweets and stuff or retweets at best, and you'll maybe think you have an idea of who he was. You really won't. People are way more layered nowadays, and the way he would talk about, how stupid that he thought certain groups, how they get mistreated in VR chat and in life. I guess that's getting political. Again, I really don't care. I want it to be known. Like there are definitely conversations where you might not seen him publicly tweet these things necessarily, because Twitter's not for that. First of all, let's talk about Twitter. Twitter's that place you don't go to change your mind. If I said a really stupid thing on Twitter, like I had a really bad take on something, I'm not gonna change my mind because random Twitter users are like messaging and replying and telling me stuff. I'm gonna change my mind because of one of you cats like pulled me off to the side and was like, okay, listen, maybe I even get where you was trying to go, but fam, that ain't it. I'm gonna listen to one of y'all first. Twitter is just the place you just kind of do stuff. For me, it's memes like anime thighs and butts, and that's really, and then whatever y'all tweet. So that's really it. Anyway, it's light work. But I say to say, so like, I use Twitter as the biggest example because Twitch doesn't like you have status updates on like a Twitch or a YouTube. So, but so like conversations like that are something you might have never heard, but I've been in calls with him where he'll talk about how absolutely stupid he thinks it is that some people think that because a person is a certain way or identifies a certain way that they get mistreated, stoned, looked at a certain way, sometimes fetishized, and it's like, yeah, these are things you might never know on a surface level, and if you just assume things. But yeah, his heart was definitely in the right place in a lot of situations too, I guess, is another thing that I'm putting in here. I feel a little guilty. Like, I feel like I wish I felt worse outwardly. Maybe because, so without mentioning names, there was someone else I knew that died. This was years ago. This was unfortunately in 2015. 2015 had the potential to be an amazing year, and then this death happened, and it was like, it's bittersweet. When they died, I know one reason that I was reserved was because there were people that knew them better than I did. So I felt like it was like me trying to steal a spotlight if I was miserable. It's such a dumb thing because they were my friend too. So I don't know why I thought that, but because other people they were better friends with other people than me, that I was just like, I feel like I would be making it about me somehow if I was sad about it. And so maybe this is part of it. I don't know. I definitely believe like his immediate family and people around him right now have it far worse than me. I guess that's how it works, I think. But maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe it's just being I just want to make sure I keep this position right now. Like Mitchie, is now DMing, and it's different now. Some other people that I've been told that were asleep that are now waking up. So maybe I don't know, or maybe it's just because it was nice to get on a video though and speak positively about some of the funniest and fun things they were able to provide over the last near half decade. I can't do the thing everyone's doing. Was like, oh, I could show you like one of the last messages he ever sent me. Like I really can't. So speaking of cursed, the last DM we had, you can't see it, but let me just tell you, it was a joke in good spirit. There we go. There's a smile finally. It was a good spirited joke, because that's all it really ever was around, and good stuff. I want to get these contacts out of my eyes though. That's for sure. Maybe I'll sleep. Maybe I've dried my eyes out enough with them that I'll be able to actually hit some Z's. And you'll be seeing this video sooner than later. But yeah, condolences down below for Digi. Some of you knew him as digitalboyo in recent times. Some of him, so Papa Pepperoni, as I would jokingly say, of his old name of Daddy DiGiorno. Some people even Uncle Digi. Around the high, I guess that was in Hive Mind. It would have been Gen 2 when it comes to like Nags' chat. Some of them in there knew him as Uncle Digi. Because he used to tell that story that Nags got him that was it a soundboard or was it Stream Deck. So I'm gonna get going. I want to say more, I want to make this like a 5-hour video. I could make this a 5-hour video, and I might. The commentary video might be that. And that one I will try and make like as positive as possible. Right now, I think this is just part of me processing, because I'm not gonna sleep. I don't got anything, really. I'm just gonna, once I hit in record, I'm gonna go talk to more people, see how they're doing, making sure they're at least okay, and probably just go work on stuff. That's all I can do. And I'm thinking really hard about that. I think I'm gonna try blowing up the channel. I think my videos are gonna get really annoying because I'm gonna start employing whatever I need to. I want to get there, and then I want to be able to tell a story about this man. I want to tell a story about the rest of you while you're still alive. The saying is, give people their flowers while they're living, I want to do that. And I want to make sure that the time capsule part of this channel remains just as important. It's something Steam mentioned when I was talking to him about it. Unfortunately, he thanked me actually, for my service, if you will, of doing these videos for all these years, because of how in moments like now we can look back on that Kimple marriage video, or the TTT videos, or anything really. The GTA videos, even both the heist. I have the full heist up there. When we did the prison heist and the humane labs and I think I'm gonna be watching those. I'm gonna spend the day watching those while I work on stuff. For sure. I'm gonna be around. I'm gonna find a way to be busy. But yeah, if you could just if you did know him, in the comments, just talk about him positively. I'm gonna be dictatorous about this. Talk about him positively. If you don't, I will just delete your comment. I've always done that anyways. Anyway, if someone's just ever been super sideways, not criticism. Criticism's fine on my videos. I'm fine with that. If someone's just complete sideways, or in some cases, racist, you're gone. And so for this video, those rules obviously apply. But in this one, it's just something funny that he did, something fun that he did, a nice memory. If you from some reason find this video and you're someone that's like, thank goodness, because you had beef with him, you're done. You're out. I'm just letting you know right now. But thank you so much for entertaining me as I figure out. I don't know what stage I'm at of the 5 stages. I think I just jumped to acceptance because, again, I think I was just ready for it. I didn't want to be. I didn't hope for it, but I think I just was. I think that's just what the last decade of my life has been. So it's just not as shocking when it happens, but it doesn't make it any less miserable. It doesn't make it any less miserable. And some people need my attention right now, so I'm going to go be with them. Thank you. And you do me a favor. If you're not a hugger, don't, find a different way. But hug somebody. Hug somebody that you care about. Even if someone knows that you love them, like a family member or whatever, just tell them. Even if they know. Even if the response is, I know. Make sure you say it out loud. Make sure they know. If it's been a while, hit somebody up. Hit a parent up. Hit a sibling up. Somebody that you're on good terms with that you do love, but maybe you haven't talked to in a minute. Just send them a hi. Don't send them a you up. Maybe not that one. Unless you think comedy would help in a situation, then do you. But go ahead. Go ahead and do stuff while I figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep living, of course. That's the bare minimum. I'm going to keep living. I got missions to accomplish now. But I gotta finish growing this out. Yeah, it's getting kind of long, by the way. Yeah, buddy. Christ. Yeah. We made a joke that maybe, Digi's up there in heaven and it's Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is in fact God, which would be like a super acceptable God, in my opinion, if it was Morgan Freeman. And he's just telling the, cursed jokes and cracking funny moments and making people laugh like he did. And to close off, like I said, his status was always happier than happy, thanks to those around me. And thanks to him being around us, we too were happier than we probably thought we could be. And it was all completely his fault in the best way possible. Okay. Yeah, I was going to do like a ending part as if I'm speaking to him. And for some reason now, it keeps hitting in different ways, right? Like, I'm not much of a crier. I don't do funerals. You know, um, but this one's different, you know. There's relatives. I don't talk about it ever, but you know, I mean, there's just been deaths that have been happening. Like I said, the last decade's been rough, but this one's, it's just, yeah. We're thinking of putting something together, and I probably will be at that one. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, buddy, thank you. I know you'll never see this, of course. That's how this works now, unfortunately. But there was a lot of times I could mention in this, and this, like I said, this video could easily be 5 hours. A lot of jokes, a lot of funny inside stuff, a lot of curse stuff, a lot of actual positive, uplifting stuff. The health updates that I mentioned at the beginning, and just kind of going back and forth on that in terms of not a negative banter, but just like, you know, just talking about, oh, hey, okay, that's a neat idea. You know, water. I still really don't drink water, but, you know, there's that. Um, and just seeing the progression, I think that's the thing too. Seeing the healing that you got to do, especially watching in this last year, where you definitely had your stance on relationships and stuff, for example, and then seeing this past year, seeing you, you know, men. I don't want, it's not his words verbatim, but it was like mending stuff with some people and healing with some other people, and seeing this growth and this character development arc, if you will, of this anime that you were the protagonist in, was a pleasure to witness. And there will never be a replacement, that's for sure. That's the problem when someone dies. There's never going to be a sequel. There was just the original, and that's it. But you left a lasting impression on so many of us, as I'm seeing the messages in the Discord right now, that I would like to extend a thanks for what it's worth. And you know, it's one of those moments where, like, I do hope you're up there with Morgan Freeman doing stuff. And so when it's our time, we can reunite one day. We can reunite one day, and then laugh about all the stupid stuff that's happened since. If there was ever a reason for me to hope there was, you know, one, that would be it, definitely. It'd be fun to see you again, buddy. But sometimes the pizza's hot, and sometimes it's not. And right now, it's definitely not. I'm gonna end the video. But goodbye, Digi. But it was darn sure good knowing you. However, I don't really have an outro for this one. It doesn't feel right saying an outro for this one. But I really don't know which video will be next. We are just going to have to wait and see. So until next words. So until next time, take care. And enjoy life responsibly. Enjoy the people you know and care about responsibly. Maybe shoot an extra DM to people every so often, you know? Like, it could just be a hi. It doesn't have to be a deep conversation. Maybe that's the thing. Just every so often DM people more often, you know? And I'll give Smith some credit right now for that. He's been DMing, for example. Just, he's like, hey, I found this funny short I thought you'd find funny. I'm like, you know what? That is funny. Cool. Just find people and have a couple more of those interactions. And if you're hung up on something with somebody, and in your mind it's not that deep, maybe start mending that bridge. Start doing some of the things he was doing, you know? I'm not saying become him, but maybe take some inspiration on. I think there's a couple of people that are very glad they got to talk to him more recently than not, before he was gone. And I guess in my infinite wisdom, I would also impart that is a good idea if it's possible. If it's a bridge that can be mended, mend it. If it's burnt and it's gone, you know, okay, that's different. If it's toxic, forget that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a space where you would be like, you know what? I haven't talked to that person in a minute. We didn't really fall out either. We just kind of grew distant. Let me rope them back in a bit. And it's something light too. It's like I said, it's just like a hi. How you doing? Just checking up once a month, maybe, you know. Doesn't have to be super serious after all. It doesn't have to be a you up. It doesn't have, oh Lord, no skin for skin. No skin for. If any of you send me skin for skin, I'm just blocking you. Probably not, but I'm not respond. No, I'm gonna respond with something cursed. That's what I'll do. There we go. I'm gonna end on a laugh there. There we go. But rest easy, protagonist. Shucks. Bye-bye. Yeah. Dang. Y'all really let me record for like an hour and a half looking like I don't look like I'm from the projects. I look like I am the project. Like I'm a project in progress. Like, and y'all let me, you let me get on camera like all the time like this. This, this is y'all's YouTuber. Yeah, I guess it was, and he definitely would. He acknowledged that too. He acknowledged that I was, in, as far as he was concerned, I was definitely a YouTuber. Size didn't matter. So, thank you. That's how I'm gonna end. Now I'm not gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna say thank you, Digi.